Good afternoon, everybody. What I'm here to talk to you guys about is hazmat and safety response and trying to keep the people safe that are working for us when they get deployed to a fire or any other type of hazmat type of situation. It could be as simple as a tractor trailer that tipped over on the side of the road and has a diesel spill, or it could be something as dangerous as a gas truck that's tipped over on the side of the road. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am a specialist in weapons of mass destruction and decontaminating them and neutralizing them, all branches of the military and in the public sector. I'm also a certified hazmat instructor since 1999. And what we do when you're a hazmat instructor is you're basically trying to educate people on the safety of their men and the environment that you're putting them in. In some cases, we expose these people to very dangerous situations for themselves and their families. So what we'd like to try to do is curve this to where it's not such a challenge for them to be safe in their working environment. Everyone here knows about fires, so I don't need to explain a lot about fires, but I need to discuss it a little bit to express the impact that we're having on these fires and the aftermath of these fires. In America, I'll speak about America, and I am an American, and I was educated at Clemson University and served my time in the military, and I've been in the Middle East for the last 7 years with a company called R Squared, and we specialize in decontamination. In America, there's over 3,000 deaths a year due to fire. There's over $7 billion in property damage due to fire. And the fire is usually not the culprit. The culprit is the heat, the smoke, the toxins that come from the smoke, and this is what causes the big problem. Actually, people die more from the smoke on a 3-to-1 ratio from asphyxiation from the smoke. I don't have a whole lot of pictures and films to show to you today because I was called in here on short notice. But when there is a fire, this fire can go from 1 second to 30 seconds and engulf an entire building. When the black smoke starts to occur, then it gets engulfed in flames. The heat from the rising flames is what rises the temperature in the room and then what will ignite everything in that room, the properties in that room. The temperatures can get well over 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Just breathing this alone, if you send a firefighter in without the proper equipment, would scorch his lungs and cause major life damage to himself. Once a temperature rises above 800 degrees, we have an ignition point, which is called a flashover. Once a flashover occurs, then these items in that room are going to become toxic smoke, and this is what will kill the people. I like to call the toxic smoke the toxic twins. You know, you have hydrogen cyanide, HCN, you have carbon monoxide. All of these are very dangerous. And in a fire, you have a toxic soup of all of these gases that are being released by the items that are being engulfed in the flames and igniting from the ignition point of the fire. The first responders, the fire department, is the guys that go in there first. Their clothing is prepared for this. They wear self-breathing apparatuses, so they have their oxygen on their back. So they're fairly protected. They go in, they do their job, but they have no idea what gases are around them. Unless we have a gas detection system that they can take on the site and let them be aware of what gases are around, they have no idea. They don't know what they're getting on their clothing. They don't know what they're getting on their skin, what they're getting on their personal body. When you go to a scene, and you see the devastation that's occurred from this fire and the amount of damage it can do in a matter of seconds, it opens your eyes to truly how powerful a fire can be and how powerful the situation is. So by detecting the gases that you're being surrounded by while working in this environment, it's very important to know so you can protect yourself even further. We have three responses. We have rescue response, including confined spaces. We have building collapse and trench response, carbon monoxide response. But we all seem to neglect a few of the other poisonous gases, because on every single fire, you can have plastics, nylons, polymers, styrofoam, polyurethane foam. All of these, when ignited, turn into a gas. They're a very dangerous chemical. This gas can be attached to your clothing. This gas can be attached, if you inhale it, it's very critical. But it's just a very bad situation, and all of our firefighters should have some sort of gas identification monitors on them when they get to a site, so they can see how bad is the gas outside the dwelling or the building, how bad is the gas inside. They did a survey of firefighters in the U.S., and out of 244 firefighters, none of them really were regarded to gas detection. They were more concerned about putting the fire out. And they all assumed that breathing smoke and these moxitoxins were just part of the job. The long-term effect of this, however, though, can cause cancer, can cause illness, headaches, and even death over a long period of time if not properly treated. Out of the 244 volunteers, 25 of them had no clue about gas detection. Another 34%, which was combined of volunteers and career firefighters, once again, weren't educated on the subject. Career 40% was the same way. They just thought that their commander was taking control of the situation and putting them in an environment that was safe, when in reality it wasn't safe. Any one of these gases that leak and get in these people's person can be fatal to them or their family. Let's take, for an example, an everyday situation. A firefighter goes and puts out a building. They're in there. They come down from the building, all the floors, no idea what they've been exposed to, because there's not a human on the earth that knows what they're exposed to, because we don't know the ignition point of all these items in this room here. So they put the fire out, they come down, they go outside, they start taking off their PPE and their equipment. They take their gloves off, they take their helmet off, they're touching their uniform, their protection wear, they're contaminating themselves. What I would like to see happen in some state or form is that when the firefighters come out of the building, they would then proceed to a decontamination tent where they would be fogged and neutralize these gases. It's not difficult. There are solutions out there right now that can neutralize these gases. You take a forensic investigator. The firefighter that was on that fire was thoroughly protected. He has self-breathing apparatuses. He has all his uniform on. The second responder, which is usually the forensic people that are coming in to see what started this fire, they're not protected. They're not wearing a proper suit. They're wearing usually a paper mask or a respirator that I've seen. Well, these respirators allow you to breathe the air out. If you can breathe the air out, the gas can come in. It's that simple. Come in through your eyelids, come in through your skin, come in through inhaling. So it is a very, very important situation that we start to look at, because if some of your forensic people are going on site carrying their tools, and then they take that same box of tools and put it in the trunk of their car and go pick their child up at daycare, their child now is breathing all of these moxitoxins and pathogens that were put out in this fire. Now, kid may get a headache, the forensic investigator may get a headache, may get nauseated, may blame it on the food, but the reality of it is he was poisoned. He was poisoned by the gases in this fire. And it's a very serious situation because there are no studies. There's no studies of the long-term effects of these gases because the people can hide behind the fact that they don't even know what gases we're addressing. What are we addressing? What caused the cancer? What caused the lung problems? What do you pinpoint it to? It's a building that was just engulfed and burnt. It's a combination of the toxic soup that these guys go into. And it's a very harsh environment. Some of the things that I would like to see happen in the future is that, one, we do have decontamination tents or even a decontamination mobile unit on the site of a fire. If you have a pedestrian that's in the building and the building catches on fire, what protection do they have? They come out of the building, they didn't have any breathing apparatus on. You know, they should be decontaminated immediately when they leave the scene. Then what I'd like to see is as soon as the firefighters extinguish the fire, that a hazmat crew come in and completely fog and neutralize these gases. Once again, it's not difficult. The material's available. You go in, you neutralize it. It wouldn't hurt anything for the forensic people because it's a fogging agent. And at that point, the forensic people can come in and do their job. Now, even as using a fogging agent as a decontaminant, it's dangerous. You get a fire that burns a mall down or burns a clothing store down, and now you have piles and piles of the rubbish on top of each other. As that investigator's walking through, he's turning this over. Usually when you use a fogging agent, you're getting the cubic airspace in the surface of what you're fogging. But as you turn this over, those gases are still there. The gases in a fire, these poisonous gases, the toxic soup I keep referring to, they can last up to 2 weeks to 6 months. There is no time frame. There's no data to support that they go away. And the 8 years that I've been here that I've witnessed is that we go in, we put the fire out, the building will stay there, the investigators come in, contractors start coming in and start cleaning. Contractors wearing no PPE to speak of, little paper masks, but we don't know the long-term effect that we're doing to these people. And it's a serious situation. If a fire happened and we came in and decontaminated it, and then the first responders, the forensic came in and did their work, then we'd have a better knowledge of what's happening with that particular fire. You know. Also, I want to talk to you about the effects of a fire. Once they put the fire out and we've neutralized the gases, we have another animal that exists. This other demon that comes out is called mold. You know, especially here in the Middle East, you have humidity levels over 60%, mold's active. So what's going to happen? They go in, they drench the fire in these high humidity, especially the season we're coming into now. Now the building is filled with mold. Mold causes Legionnaire's disease and many other major factors that we have to be aware of. Once again, I don't mean to bore you with all this scary talk, but it's a reality. It's there. And if we don't address it, our own personnel, our own firefighters are at risk. The people that own the building are at risk, the insurance companies, the contractors. It just goes on and on. And then what do? They drag it home to their spouse, their kids, their family. They go into Dubai Mall. They go into Emirates Mall. They're spreading it like an epidemic all through the city. So what I'd like to see is that we get aware and we protect the firefighters and we give them the proper equipment to do their job and put these fires out. These are some major diseases that can be controlled. You know, they used to think that MERS virus and Ebola and all these viruses were uncontrollable, but they're very controllable. They can be neutralized in a minute. Chlorine can be neutralized in a minute. Cyanide can be neutralized in a minute. Literally 1 minute. It's just a simple procedure that needs to be addressed and put into place. The main thing to really be concerned about is your surrounding and what is happening. And with 2020 coming to Dubai, be the forefront, be the leaders, be the people that want to protect not only the firefighters but the pedestrians around. And I hate to have spoken so fast, but I did. And these are just some of the projects that I've been associated with and helped on. And it's going to say thank you, but we don't have to hang up yet. Okay, well, I'd like to say thank you because I spoke very quickly, but I didn't have anything else to say.